Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Bloodborne PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Chikage. This weapon is one that you either, you love it or you hate it. Mostly, you love it because of how much damage it can deal, or you hate it because of how much damage it deals to you. So, it goes both ways. Now, this weapon is one of the more powerful ones in the game, and it's received a lot of hate because of course, the damage. Now, with this weapon, that damage really is only hugely significant if you build for it, if you make the ideal build for it. Otherwise, your damage will be pretty much average. So for the build I have, the damage is roughly average. Now, if I had made a pure perfect build for it, going straight up skill, blood tinge build, then we'd have a different story. If I was using the best blood gems ever, we'd have a different story. But with what I've got, I have average stats, so the weapon deals average damage. It is what it is. So keep that in mind through this video, and let's finally get started. The Chikage requires 10 strength and 14 skill in order to wield. It has an E scaling in strength, a B scaling in skill, an S scaling in blood tinge, and a D scaling in arcane. The physical base damage of the weapon is 180, and on my build, it has an attack rating of 460 with average blood gems ranging between 18 and 21%. In the first form, the weapon, it's got medium speed R1 attacks that are angled slashes, and they've got a bit of a blind spot along the right side until the third R1. With its R2s, they're relatively slow, in comparison at least, thrusting attacks, and the charged thrust can be aimed decently if you go unlocked with it, but it's really not the most reliable move to do with this weapon. Now, the transform attack is an attack with this weapon that a lot of people do rely on very, very often. It's a wide slash, and a charged R2 actually is another really heavily relied on attack that's got a 1.85 times damage multiplier. Now, when you're transforming this weapon into the second form, you can press R1 or R2 to do an attack, and that's not as in a transform attack, but you just press L1 to transform, and then you can press either to go and do an attack similar to the Iaito or the Dark Souls 2 Black Steel Katana. So that's an interesting thing about it. Also, I'm not sure if the R1 will deal as much damage or more damage or less damage than a regular transform attack, and if you do a charged R2 when transforming like this, it actually uses significantly less health than a normal charged R2 in the second form. Now, getting started with the second form, it's got the exact same moveset as the first form, but the major difference is the damage you deal and the fact that you're two-handing your weapon, so you do not have use of your gun. Also, your health is constantly drained well in this form, so that's something to be very, very careful of. Now, as I said, your charged R2 in this form is an Iaito-like slash with the blade coming out of the sheath, and, it is what it is. The longer you hold the R2, the more damage it deals, and the more health it will drain. So if you can bait someone into doing that attack frequently if you're fighting against this weapon, that works fantastically. It's a good way to get them to drain out their own health, and people can actually kill themselves with it, and they do it more often than they would like to admit. So that's a thing as well. So this weapon with its charge R2, it actually has a follow-up R2. Most people never use it. I have never seen it used in PvP at all, ever. And I've tried to land it a few times throughout this video, but I was never able to land it myself. It's a bit slow, and people take advantage of the fact that you try to go for it. They might dodge it and punish you for it. That's generally what tends to happen. That being said, it's really cool, and if you do end up getting it, I'm sure it would be very satisfying, but I never managed it, so it is what it is. So the attack, it's an upward slash. In a way, it somewhat reminds me of the Black Knight weapons in Dark Souls 1. I don't know if it sends the person flying back or not. I didn't get to test that. So if you do know that, please do let me know. Other things about the weapon: second form, your R2 attack, uncharged, has a 1.5 times damage multiplier, a 2.25 times damage multiplier when fully charged, and the follow-up has a 1.92 times damage multiplier. Blech. So with this weapon, the main focus for most people is to use it in the secondary form because they do have the proper build for it where they gain the full advantage of the blood tinge scaling. My build, it doesn't really matter which form I go into. The second form still does more damage, of course, but it's not incredibly different. Now, as far as baits with the weapon, I mean, there's nothing terribly unique with it. I tried a few different things to be able to bait off that second R2. Didn't really work. Really just work on getting those R2 attacks in there and you'll be fine. So the cons of the weapon, the health drain, and honestly, the fact that it's got a similar moveset in both forms is a big one in my opinion. But otherwise, this weapon is just top tier. It's just a top tier weapon, guys, so yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, found it helpful in one way or another. This is the last Bloodborne weapon showcase, unless more weapons get put out in the DLC. I'll probably end up doing some live commentary PvP episodes for Bloodborne like I've been doing with Dark Souls 2, so let me know if you guys are actually interested in that or not. Otherwise, I'll just continue doing what I've been doing with Dark Souls 2. But either way, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video, found it helpful in one way or another. Please like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. If you're interested in supporting the channel more than that, you can go ahead and check out my Patreon. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.